When I was a kid growing up in the 90s, I really loved going to Blockbuster. Going to the place that was guaranteed to make the weekend a banger. Either because you were renting a movie to watch, or even better, rent a game to play over the weekend. As a kid, Blockbuster was my heaven on earth. Nothing came close. There was just such a magic to walking into the place, hearing the TVs running, trailers for the newest films going on, the sights of the snacks and the sweets just waiting by the checkouts, the rows of films and games overwhelming the senses. It's such a strong memory for me as a whole place. The store is an icon of the 90s and the 2000s, and I know something that us internet millennial boomers never shut the fuck up about. But it was just such a great place, and when I became a teenager, I walked into the job guidance council office at school, where that person asked me what I wanted to do for work when I left school. Working at Blockbuster was the only thing I said. I loved film, loved video games, so what the hell else would I want to do? My best friend and I would go there most days as teenagers and just look at the movies and the bargain bins and the games and just imagine what we could buy if only we weren't absolutely skint. On the day of my 16th birthday, I walked into my local Blockbuster, handed them my resume that essentially amounted to, I fucked up nearly every one of my classes and subjects, and, probably gonna fail at all, but I have seen all of Martin Scorsese's films, please give a job. I left with my head held high and almost certain I would get a call any day now. Then, over the next couple of weeks, I watched in the news as this company I had loved my entire life started the process of shutting down stores and closing its doors. It was a slow process, taking years. I grew up in the valleys of South Wales. Now, to anyone that's American, that's like growing up in Idaho, essentially. Yeah, all the Americans in the audience just went, well, fuck that. Unless you're from Idaho, of course, in which case, bro, I'm sorry. Blockbuster was like one of the only cool things we had, man. And to watch this one place that gave me access to films and games disappear, seeing somewhere I spent so much of my time with my mates just being a loitering little shit die off, I'd sucked. Funnily enough, they never did call to give me a job, so that was it. My hopes and dreams of working in video rental stores died, just like video rentals. That was until I came across Retro Rewind this past week. Retro Rewind is a simulator game in case you haven't heard of it, in a similar vein to Supermarket Simulator or trading card shop simulators that you might have seen in the past. However, this game offers something so much more than just a simulator. This game offers a time capsule of something so lost I didn't really realize how much I missed it until I sat down and played this game. This game, like most of these simulators, starts you off simple. Name the store, place down a few basic things it gives you and open your doors. Let the people come on through and make you rich. You have this tiny ass room with one or two shoddy shelves holding up your dreams. As time goes on, you level up, make money and grow. Upgrade the shop's size, install new items like snacks, drinks and arcade machines. Deck out your store with all the beautiful old style retro fittings you remember from your local video shops back in the day. Experience new release days and the buzz they cause, the holiday seasons and the different tastes in rentals that roll through. You get to hire staff, manage returns, late fees and broken tapes. This game does so many things well and seamlessly that you'll begin to get the swing of each day very quickly. My store, which was called Dodgy Days Video Rentals, which is a homage to a long-running joke character my best friend and I have used for years called Dodgy Dave, who's essentially that guy that is down the pub that sells your old man knockoff VHS and DVDs. You know the ones that were definitely filmed in the back of your local cinema on a super high 8, and halfway through some dickhead gets up to go for a piss and takes about 10 minutes to get out of the way. So Dodgy Days Video Rentals was born. 2 shelves, a handful of crappy VHS, and we're off to the races. The game starts you off fairly slow. Customers meander through and pick up a collection of VHS, bring it to the checkout, you ring them up and off they go. After a few days, you get some new releases that come with these awesome pop-up poster boards. I used to want to collect these so badly back in the day, and they really did nail the aesthetic on these. Add the new release to the shelf to make sure you get as much attention as possible, and let the cash roll in. Around this point in the game, I notice that there's TVs in the corners of the room. Again, something I remember so well from Blockbuster back in the day was the trailers running on the TVs all the time. So I began clicking through the channels to see if there was any, and to my surprise, the devs had added a whole channel that can be altered to play anything you want as long as it has this name in the file location. I immediately set about to find old Blockbuster bumper reels, which, I know what you're thinking, this is a level of autism, right? And yeah, you're probably gonna be right, it is. I make no airs or graces about that. I mean, after all, it's not like I could specifically find a Blockbuster bumper reel for roughly the right year and season. So anyway, I found a bumper reel for the right year and season, and, began to run it on the TVs. This is kind of where the whole dynamic of this game changed for me. Hearing the old promos run on the TVs and listening to their old trailers really brought back a sense of nostalgia. There was something truly great about hearing the trailers run and the adverts play as I was restocking the shelves or processing the returns each morning. I'd find myself at the return station working away with a TV above me and occasionally glancing up at it when something caught my ear. I found myself just ending up standing there watching it for around 10 to 15 minutes just like I did when I was a kid, until I eventually remembered I was actually playing a game and I should probably get back to the task at hand. I'd then go about restocking the returns and open the stores and get on with the day. As time went by, I added more shelves and more genres of films, splitting them up and organizing them, making sure each place had its own dedicated area. Again, just pulling from roughly how I remember Blockbuster used to operate and knowing as I unlocked the areas that eventually there would be enough space to do all of this. Over time, you can hire employees to manage the checkout or do returns. I hired my first staff member who was ideal for the Dodgy Dave brand. I assigned them to the return station and watched as he instantly fucked up my entire organization of the store by putting the VHS just fucking anywhere. He was fired on the spot and left me to reorganize the shelves, delaying the opening that day. It started to hit me. I don't know why I cared about the organization or the fact that this dickhead had just messed it up, but it made it so that for the remainder of the game I was the only person sorting out the returns pile. Each morning, coming in, listening to the bumper reels, putting them away and finding an almost peaceful zen in each section. I hired a new employee. This one would man the checkout instead, and they did a decent enough job that I could kind of relax to some extent during the shift. Instead, helping customers with film recommendations, running the reserve service, and of course, paying a visit to the real Dodgy Dave on Tuesday and Thursdays out back to get some off-market VHS from him to add to my adult section. With all this newfound time, I ended up finding myself able to watch customers come and go, seeing what they were renting, and for the most part, a lot of these NPCs kind of do come under the nondescript ideology apart from a few. So, with these few unique NPCs that would come in that were a bit easier to recognize, I started to track them. When this guy walked into my store, for example, I knew instantly he was going to hit the adult section and take home one of my new adult videotapes, probably end up wearing it out in the process. So I followed him around, making sure to keep an eye on this sick bastard as he did his browsing. And what he ended up renting, I watched as he eyed up the adult section, then he glanced over to me with a shameful look. He scurried past it and ended up renting 2 Christmas movies and a kids film, which honestly felt worse than if he'd just picked up the porno. As he shuffled off, I looked forward to the next time I would see Anorak Andy again, almost hoping he'd be back tomorrow so I could mutter under my breath what a pervert he was. As I closed up the store and began processing the returns from that day, I noticed myself not watching the bumper reels. No, instead I'd begun to repeat them as they were rolling on by. I'd been playing for about 12 hours by this point, and the video itself on the TV is only about 40 minutes long, which means I'd heard it around about 10 to 15 times. To a degree, I'd begun to find it almost comforting, like a familiar background noise. It was also around this point that I hit the end of the first seasonal stretch. The next day, I woke up for the winter season. As a gift to myself, I decided to replace the bumper tape just like they used to in the actual Blockbuster stores. I upgraded the stores a bit and bought in new titles that were available. I opened the store and watched the customers come and go. The cash began to flow in and the XP bar, which meant that one day soon I could employ a second employee to help run the store, filled up. I found myself in this deep nostalgia pit that made me feel warm and fuzzy as the world raged on elsewhere. I was here in a happy little bubble, just making this silly little VHS store tick on by. To skip forward some, I eventually hit max level, and was finally able to employ my second employee. I once again stuck him on rental returns, which I had been doing for so long at this point, I kind of just needed someone else to do it. I stood at the counter and watched as he fucked up every area of my video shop. He began putting them back in wrong sections, not putting the new VHS in the new VHS areas, and I tried to tell myself, who cares, it's just a game. But within 5 minutes I fired him and began doing it myself again. I found myself caring so deeply about this that I didn't want anything to ruin it. In a game that was just supposed to be about a stupid fucking rental shop in the 90s, I found that little piece of heaven I lost all those years ago. This wasn't just a video game at this point, it was a love letter to my childhood and my teens. The store, after all, named after a joke my best friend and I had for 25 years. The adverts in the window were laid out just like they were back home when I was a kid. This weird amalgamation in the middle of the store that was designed to rail money out of your pockets at the last minute when you hit the tills was a recreation of something from when I was a kid at Blockbuster that I remember so vividly. My stupid bumper tapes that I went out of my way to find and put into the correct 512 by 512 resolution so they could be displayed properly in game. Everything about this place was some lost part of my childhood and teens, and honestly, it might be one of the best experiences in gaming I've ever had.